Well, I've decided to start kind of carving out the lake. And I looked at, I've been looking for videos and just, I don't know, so hopefully this is going to turn out okay. I've a couple tools, X-Acto knife. I have a straight edge just to kind of check the depth of it here. Some more X-Acto knife, one with a kind of a square flat blade on it and one with a rounded blade. Sharpie that I kind of marked out where I wanted to put this in, and I've been already kind of gouging away. I have found that I think if I would just to do this all over again, I think I would have kind of drawn out a few things like where the track was going to go and where the road. Before I started putting any other scenery down, I would have probably carved away on this. Lots of little pieces of foam go flying everywhere, and I think I'm picking up half my scenery again. I've started carving away at this, and I've actually taken an X-Acto knife and I've been kind of going in at an angle downward and then kind of coming back. I've got 1-inch foam on the board. I think I'm going to try to go down only about a half of an inch, and then the plan is to kind of sand this out and maybe put a thin coat of some type of plaster, sculpting, whatever, to kind of seal the foam. So once I get ready to put the water in, color it and put the water in, we'll go there. So anyway, okay, well, we'll start on this, and I'll give you a little progress here when we get a little farther. Okay, now that we've kind of roughed this out, I kept looking for something to really tell me how deep to go, and I don't really think you have to go that deep. I only went I went a little deeper on this end, maybe about 3/8 of an inch maximum. What I'm going to do next is take some coarse sandpaper and kind of sand this down. I am going to put like I say, a thin film of plaster in here once we get done. Trying to keep this tapered on this end, a little deeper on this one. Maybe put some rocks down here on this end here. So, okay, we'll start smoothing this out a little bit. Okay, I've been kind of smoothing this down. I've got some 36 grit, pretty rough sandpaper here, and just been kind of raking over that and kind of getting the big chunks. I found also, if you have a vacuum cleaner, it sure makes it a lot easier. Vacuum cleaner in one hand and sandpaper in the other, and kind of suck it up as you're grinding it away there. So, okay, we'll finish this up and then look at pouring some plaster in the bottom of that. Okay, I've just finished up smoothing this out. I say I did use some number 36 on that. You can kind of taper the edges down. My idea was to kind of make this a shallow end down here, kind of tapering in. This end down here a little bit sharper drop off. And I've decided that maybe some rocks. I've kind of, on my layout, I've done a lot of rock stuff. I really, woodland scenics. Let me see if I can get this over here. They're rock mold. I've got a couple of them, and I had a lot of fun with doing some rocks and texturing and whatever. So I've decided to use some. I'm going to try to taper this off a bit in this area here, so it looks like it's coming up out of the water in there, and maybe put a couple more right down in here. Okay, we mix up the plaster of Paris, which I still have here in the cup. Mix it up kind of thin. I didn't have enough hands to be able to work the plaster of Paris and hold the camera and do everything, but I mixed it up fairly thin and kind of pushed it down into the styrofoam. Try to fill that up. Added the rocks in over here and put a couple in down in here. Once this this dries, take some sandpaper. We'll kind of smooth that out a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't need any more repair. Kind of touch up around the edging. So then the you can also tell too, I kind of fill in. I use a brown kind of dirt colored latex paint that I lay down first, so I painted that up also real quick. Okay, we got the rocks done up, detailed out. I'm going to start touch the edge up the brown, and then start putting the color in the bottom of the lake. So I think we'll try to put some dark blues in there and then feather it out to be brown. So we'll see how this turns out. At least we goof, we can always repaint it again. Well, we have applied the paint to the lake, and strictly using just acrylics from the craft store. Dark blue, medium blue, and some browns up here. And kind of started in the center and started working outward. If you don't like, if I keep a couple of damp paper towels, you can always do a little wiping up if it doesn't quite look right. Apply a little bit more in different areas. Once it starts to dry, give it 10, 15, 20 minutes. You might take I have a real soft bristle brush, and I had to go find the bristle brush, but and I found by dipping it in water, and you can use that to kind of fade things in together a little bit. Sometimes a little wetter works better, sometimes a little bit drier, but just kind of keep working it, and you can work that right in there. So we're still kind of feathering, especially on the brown area. Rocks are done up. Next thing I'm going to start doing is applying. This is going to be a sandy beach area up in here, a sandy area, and then more just earth and stuff down in here in this area. We'll put dirt in there and bring it down before I pour the resin. I figure I'll get that slightly underneath the water line. Okay, I've kind of cleaned up a little bit of the area with brown, brought it down a little closer. I've actually got the road width here. I covered it with white glue, full strength. I've got a little bit left right here. I also kind of brought that white glue down into here where the resin will be. This is some sand that I picked up on one of my trips out west, and all I have is been sprinkling this on. I'll put it on fairly heavy. Tomorrow what I will do is come back with the vacuum cleaner then and pull all the loose stuff off. Then once we have that, once we come in and start putting our green and brown scenery in this area, it'll identify that path right there. So the road is going in, and the beach is also. I've taken and used a coat of white glue, thinned out a little bit, and then used my fine earth, burnt grass mixture and spread in this area here, and same thing for along this side. Then I came back. I just got done wetting it down with a little water and a touch of soap, and I used the white glue again, and I want this to really kind of firm up so when I pour the resin in, it will stay. Now the interesting part of this is hopefully it works, because if it doesn't, then you'll probably never see this YouTube video. We also did the same thing to the gravel path that I've got over the dirt path over here, and we'll let that set up overnight and see what we have in the morning. Finished putting the landscaping in around the area. Got the gravel road and beach in, and Once, in fact, the next step will be we'll probably pour the resin in, and then I'll finish detailing down around the edge of that, put some bushes and whatever, some heavier growth in, and go from there. So let's get ready to do some resin. Well, we have a quick update here that after buying magic water and reading the instructions, you learn a little bit more. And I think this happens with most all of the water products. You do have a wicking action that will take place in your scenery. They recommend that you put the water down first and then bring your scenery down to it. I kind of wanted my scenery to go a little bit into the water. They do have a bit of a remedy, and we'll try this, to actually mix up a small amount and take a brush and lightly coat this area. Once I got down, even it wicked up, I was going to go ahead and redo back down to the water line with some more turf and bushes and stuff like that around the edge. So I think some of the sculpturing type rock, you can have a little bit of wicking action on that too, so we'll give a kind of a line of where we want this to come to. So and probably this gravel down here, like I say, we'll just paint a thin line. I don't think I'll have any problem down here with the sand product, but anyway, so helpful to have the instructions. Also too, they talk about not putting any boats or anything. If you wanted something on top, for that to, like a canoe or a rowboat, sand the bottom down and actually put it on top of the water layout once you get the water in there. I guess this has a tendency to pull the object a little bit lower in the water than what you'd like to see it. So, okay, we're going to put a thin coat down here on this where we want the water line to come up to. Okay, now that we've let that magic water dry around the edges, that was about a little bit over 24 hours ago, we're ready to mix up our product. Now you may be using something different. Follow their instructions. I'm using the magic water. I mixed up about 3 ounces, so I'm not sure how much that's going to fill up the lake, but we'll give this a try. One thing with magic water, they say, mix it for 5 minutes, and then if you think you're done, mix it for another 5 minutes. So we've mixed this for right at 10 minutes, and we'll make the pour in here. They say it will seek its own level. So I can see that I think actually I need a little bit more, and I'm going to try to mix that up real quick and add that in. Okay, I mixed up about another 2 ounces and put in to the lake. I started with 3, so about 5 ounces went into here. This lake is about 10 inches long, and I'd say 2.5 somewhere in there wide, and I think the pour was about 1/8 of an inch deep. So it's like it went in very well. I'm going to touch up this this beach area just a little bit. Take a toothpick and kind of it looks like I've got a rounded where the resin came up. I'm going to try to pull it up on the beach just a little bit. But we'll let this set up for a day or so, and then we'll come back and maybe look at adding a little bit of scenery around the edges and see how it looks. Okay, well, the Resin has set up. Came out very, very nice, crystal clear. There's not one air bubble in it, so I really recommend the magic water. It does wick, so I will come back in this area here and put a little glue back in and some ground cover back there, bring it right down to the water's edge, probably some bushes. So lessons learned is do not put your scenery in here, although I do kind of like the dirt effect that's kind of in this area here. But don't extend your ground cover up above, it will. But with a little glue, a little more ground cover on there, we'll dull that right back up again. Put a few bushes in there and stuff. So lessons learned, it will wick. Do not put the scenery in. And number two, you really don't have to go very deep. 3/8 maximum, I'd say, is what I kind of went. And I put about 1/4 of an inch of resin in there. So you could possibly even go maybe 1/4 of an inch and only put an 1/8 inch of resin in. So we'll pick this up when we start, put a little ground cover back in there and see what we have and wind this video up. Okay, ground cover's down. We've kind of spruced that up a little bit, but I think we need some trees and maybe a picnic table or two. Let's get that done. Okay, well, the picnic table didn't show up, but at least we found a canoe somebody left behind. We pretty much have it done, and I think I'm going to wrap up this video, but we've got the trees and a little, let's use the shadows. The lighting here in my basement is not that well, but anyway. I'm really pleased with it. No air bubbles. Worked great. I did want to show you one other thing. When I had my Rapido GMD1 repaired, they sent me back a couple light bars. Well, I don't have any passenger cars. I was kind of thinking, what do I do with these? How about if I go over here, and a cheap way to put lights in. But there we go. There's the lights. Lights are on. Lights are off. So something to do with your little little light bars. I wish that a manufacturer would make these in very, very short pieces so I could put them in, you know, just an inch long or so I could put them in my other structures. I didn't really want to wire it down to the bottom. Anyway, we'll wrap this up. Hopefully the video was pretty good on doing a lake. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.